All right, today we're going to take a look at how to make a river. This is going to be a fairly short river. There's not going to be any functionality to this. This is just to show you how you can take something like this and apply it to your map. So we're going to start with a spline. We're going to be in the vector tool, which you can bring up by hitting the letter V on your keyboard. It should bring you up like this, or you'll see a tab down here. So in your vector tool, you're going to hit new spline and you're going to choose a starting point. The starting point, this one here, will generally have an initial coordinates of 0, 0, 0. Anything after that is going to be where the coordinates are based off of. So we're going to be using that feature here in just a minute to guide us on making the river not completely straight, but flow in the proper direction. So I did forget, you do want your snap to terrain on here. So let's readjust where this is at. All right, that actually snapped fine. And then this, we're going to move over here. So we're going to use Control and left mouse button, and we're just going to kind of follow the shape of this river. And we're just going to go right there. And then you're going to, in your resource browser, look for dirt trail. Click and drag that. And this is a generator. This generator should have, by default, a just height map on. We are going to, in the vector tool, select one of these dots, hit W. Now all the dots should be selected. And we're going to bring this down. And so we have a depth of a trench, a canal, a ditch line. And you can use this, excuse me, for anything that you want to shape like this instead of using the terrain tool. So with the spline selected, you have a generator underneath it, and then the entity that the generator drops. Inside the generator, you have a width. The start width, the fall off start width, is how far out before you begin a fall off width. So how far out till it starts, and then how much more it adds on. So if you want this ditch to be wider, you can change it to another alternate number. With this being a smaller river for this purpose, we're just going to have it at 2. So now we need to add our river. There is a couple different ways you can do this. The easiest way I've found is if you take this spline, you hit W, and we're going to copy it. We're going to hold Control, hold Alt, and then drag it up. We're going to drag it up just a little bit. And we now have 2 dirt trail generators. Delete the second one, the higher one. Look for river. And it's going to be river medium. It's going to be in the ARMA Reforger Prefabs WE generators. Click and drag that over. And now you have your river. So depending on what way you want it to flow, it may start flowing properly the first time, or you may have to reverse it. Reversing it is very easy. There's a couple ways you can do it. The most proper probably for you right now is just in the river itself, go to its object properties and reverse flow. And then you can change how wide the river is. You can do a few different things in here. We're just going to leave it at its default. All right. So now if you look, our river's flowing, but it kind of doesn't flow properly. It goes down and then up and then a big down and then up again. So that's just not right. So how we're going to fix that is going back to the coordinates of these splines. So the spline coordinate we're going to primarily focus on is the Y coordinate. All right. So the other key factor here is going to be to have snap to terrain off. If it's on, whenever you move that spline, it's going to immediately snap to the terrain and where it's at. Okay, we don't want that to happen right now. So we're going to start with our starting point or wherever in your river that it is doing this. You don't have to do this from this exact spot. If you want to only change down here, you can start here and do this from then on. It's whatever you want to do it with. You can do this with any spline. You know, if you're doing a road, if you're doing this river, if you're doing a train track, whatever, this can apply for a bunch of different purposes. So go onto your spline, get your dot you want to start with, get its Y coordinate and copy it, select your next dot, and then paste. Now notice how it brings it up. You're going to also see this blue line here. This blue line is going to affect the angle of the red line. Notice how the wider the blue line is, the more curvature it gets. The smaller it is, the more of a point it is. So play with that. See what fits the shape of your river or whatever you're doing the best. And then we are going to take that. We're going to we'll leave that there. So go ahead and copy that. Go to your next dot, paste it. All right. We're going to move this one down just a little bit because we want the river to have a little bit of a decline in it. All right. So copy that coordinate, paste it. We'll give it a little bit more of a decline here. All right. And then because we've now messed with that one, we've changed how high that one is or low that one is. Copy that coordinate. And that way we're making sure that this is going on a decline. And then there we go. So we messed with that one. And it's pretty much that. We're just copy and pasting those coordinates over. So that way we have at minimum a level river, a little bit of decline. All right. So a lot more realistic how this looks. Pretty easy, right? So the next thing that you'll want to do here, if you notice, there is this paint of this dirt trail, right? Because that's what the dirt trail adds. If you go into the generator for the dirt trail, and the adjust height map is on, and let's say you either turn that off or you delete the generator, this terrain data is not going to be saved. It's just going to get rid of what we did. So let's just save for our purpose. If you delete it, I'm just going to show you. Look what happens. All right. How we fix that is we do what is called a bake function. We are going to bake the terrain data this changed into the terrain. So we're going to hit Control T for the terrain tool. You're going to be in Manage. You're going to make sure your generator is checked. Very carefully, you're going to hit Bake Selection. If you hit Rebuild Height Map, you cannot cancel that. So make sure you hit the right button. So at Bake Selection, you may get a pop-up that says this function cannot be undone. As long as you click the right button, and it's the bake function you chose, you can click yes because you want it to change this terrain data. You want it to save it. You can still alter the terrain after you do this. It's not permanent. All right. So now that we baked that terrain data, to show you, we can adjust height map, and it is now saved that data. But that dirt trail is still there. So now you can delete that dirt trail. That is, the terrain is still here. And now you can even sculpt the terrain if you want. If you want to make it a little bit smoother, you can do that. Okay, it's yours to mess with now. All right. So I am not deleting the dirt trails until I know for sure that that's the shape of the river I want. But that, in a nutshell, gives you a very quick, easy way to make a river, get the depth that you want, and how to level out the river. This can be applied for all kinds of different things. I am using these things fairly regularly now. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this helped you. Hope you have a good rest of your day.